Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your August 2018 general readings. Thank you so much for joining us here today and welcome to any newcomers. And thank you for those of you who continue to follow, like, share, and subscribe. And always a big thank you to all of my clients out there, regular and new, for always keeping me so busy with personal one-on-one readings. Honor and a pleasure. Always. Thank you. My background has changed once again. I'm doing my annual gypsy thing, traveling around Eastern Europe, back in Poland here at a little flat, and I'll be taking some little tours and traveling around from here. So my background is a little bit different right now. But as you know, I work all the time, anywhere and everywhere there's an internet connection, which is just about everywhere in the world these days. Isn't that great? So thank you very much for joining us here today. This reading is for the fire sign of Aries, the Ram, for the month of August 2018. Make sure to check your rising and your moon sign videos as well. They can provide you with additional clarification if you know them and if you can. Sometimes they resonate a little more predictively for you too. And as most of you know, if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, live or recorded, you can get all the information and my contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on the little About button. Or you can click on the description bar of all the videos I post. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life, including channeled messages from passed on loved ones, 6 and 12-month overviews, gift readings, etc. Career, work, and finance, love and romance, of course. So if you're interested, send me an email at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. You'll see that info listed. You can also, for fast answers to quick questions, you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. That link is also provided on the description bar or under the little About button if you click on it. Okay, Aries, let's get right into this reading. Remember, these are general readings, so they're going to resonate a little differently for everybody who's watching. Aries, let's see what's in store for you for August 2018. Okay, Aries, we begin with the Page of Pentacles, followed by the Seven of Cups. We have the Two of Wands, followed by the Ten of Swords. We have the Empress, followed by the Four of Wands, the Six of Wands, followed by the Lovers. Lovely. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance and focus for the month of August 2018 is the Hierophant. This is a pretty interesting reading, Aries. I feel like for a lot of you, this has to do with a relationship in your life, a significant relationship in your life. Now, the nature of that relationship, it could be, you know, a romantic relationship like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It could be a work relationship or situation of some kind as well. I know sometimes that, you know, people who follow the readings, and all readers, people who follow, you know, a variety of different readers, sometimes get frustrated when a reading is focused only on one specific area and they're looking for something different. So I try to kind of cover as much as I can potentially. General readings can be kind of tricky because there's so many of you watching and they're always going to resonate a little differently. I feel like for a lot of you, this is focused on a relationship. The nature of that relationship may vary. Others of you, it may be a work situation or relationship, you know, in that or within your friendship circle or community circle as well. I feel like the phrase I'm kind of getting in the back of my head, Aries, is if I'm going to say this right, sometimes the challenge is in translating what I get channeled into something that actually sounds cohesive. It feels like a kind of a grown-up month. There's a situation where you're kind of coming to a deeper understanding and awareness of how something is actually going to work one way or the other. Your overall energy, your crowning card from the bottom of the deck, which represents the focus, general focus and advice for the month, is the Hierophant. Now, the Hierophant is a card of convention, tradition, walking the prescribed path, kind of going along with the group. It can also represent, you know, a deeper level of commitment, responsibility, maturity, taking something to another level, which represents a deeper level of commitment, understanding, and maturity as well. You know, it can represent the roots of where you come from, you know, cultural identity, tradition, taking it to another step. Sometimes this card comes up for marriage or in relationships, whatever that next step of commitment might be. So that's kind of the general focus and energy for the month of August 2018. Now we begin, I am recording these in the last week of July. We begin with the Page of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups. Timing always being somewhat fluid, of course. For some of you, this might be a little sooner. For some of you, it might be a little later. I usually generally do 2 cards per week, but I always believe time is a bit more fluid in the subtle realms. The Page of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups. So Pentacles is earth energy, which is a more realistic energy. It usually manifests in the tangible areas of our life, work, money, finance, career, resources, assets, etc., or the efforts we put into things and the tangible results from those. Pages usually represent, they can represent messengers or messengers, young people or children. They always have an introductory, young, fresh energy about them because pages are young people and they're just starting out. This can represent being at the beginning of a specific path. So this is the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles energetically represents being at the beginning, just starting to come to a deeper understanding and awareness of how things actually work. For example, the Page of Pentacles could represent somebody who, you know, lived at home, went to high school, maybe went to college, and now they're kind of out on their own and they're just starting to kind of get into the world of, you know, bills and money and mortgages and taxes and things like that. And they're just starting to come to, they're at the beginning of the path of understanding how something works in a very practical, real way, the realistic view of how something actually works or needs to work. And they understand that they're at the beginning of the path and that there's more to be learned here and that they're just kind of starting out. This is kind of sort of, you know, getting a clue as to what it's really going to take if I choose to continue to walk down this path. And now what clarifies it is the Seven of Cups, which is kind of a different sort of energy. Cups is water energy. That's the element which governs the suit. And in the tarot, the suit of cups is watery mercurial energy of our emotions, our emotional landscape, feelings. It's also the area of our life that deals most with relationships, which are more emotionally based and driven. The Seven of Cups is a card of considering multiple opportunities, multiple options. There is a bit of an illusionary feel about this. You can see that each one of these 7 cups is holding something beautiful, something perfect. And what it represents is actually an opportunity or the potential. It can be somewhat illusionary because it has this daydreamy sort of feel to it. This can represent kind of fantasizing, daydreaming, maybe being a bit scattered, you know, imagining the possibilities and potentials. It sometimes has a bit of an unrealistic feel to it. I mean, each one of the goals or dreams in these goblets is usually manifestable. They're realizable if you work at them, but not all of them together. So sometimes it can represent being a little unrealistic about something. And because it clarifies the Page of Pentacles, I feel like this situation, the details and specifics in a general reading, of course, is going to vary in terms of what it is and to what intensity. But I feel like prior to this, there may have been there's a situation that happened where it looks like there is a sense of betrayal, of loss, some kind of unexpected thing happening. I feel like for a lot of you, it's in some kind of a relationship or situation where there was a feeling of betrayal. Either you feel you were betrayed by somebody, or perhaps you were the one that hurt or betrayed somebody else, or it could be a combination of both. And I feel like this happened in the past, in the recent past, not like yesterday or last week, although it could be for some of you, but in the last maybe 6 months or the last year or so. And I think in the time since then, I feel like maybe there were time periods where you just put it to the back of your mind and didn't deal with it, or didn't allow yourself to deal with it in terms of how am I going to actually continue with this. I feel like for a group of you that are in a relationship with someone, whether it's a very close friendship or a romantic relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, best friend, husband, wife, one of you did something intentionally or not, or unintentionally, that hurt somebody else. They either hurt you or hurt somebody else, and was viewed and perhaps was a betrayal. And I feel like in the ensuing days, weeks, months after that, maybe there were times of arguing about it or trying to deal with it and then putting it aside. And I feel like for a lot of you, there has been this recent time period where you just really didn't make any specific decisions or actions about it. Maybe you decided to take some time off from it, or separate for a while, or agree to not deal with it for the time being. And maybe as time went on, you felt like, this is very specific because this is the message that I'm getting. But regardless of the details and specifics in a general reading, the energy and advice remains the same, so you can apply this to whatever the situation represents for you. I feel like there was this almost like pretending it didn't happen, or just not addressing it directly. You know, like the elephant in the living room that you kind of clean up around, but you don't really deal with directly. And I feel like now, maybe because of some conversations or just actions, or your in your day-to-day interactions with this other person or within this situation, you're starting to come to an understanding and realization where before maybe you were a bit unrealistic or not reality-based, not seeing it for what it was. But now that you are, and you're starting to realize what it's actually going to take, either if you want to maybe like heal a relationship or a situation, and you're committed to like doing that, what it's actually going to take to do that. Some things are going to have to be worked out. Maybe some uncomfortable conversations are going to have to take place. And also, I think just realizing what damage and harm was done from this betrayal, regardless of whose side it was on. And typically, even if the initial offense or betrayal was caused by one specific person in a relationship, there's usually a backlash, and people tend to kind of do things to each other during that emotional time frame. And I feel like you've come to a realization of what it's actually cost, both the damage and the harm done, and what it's actually going to take in order to heal the situation, if you choose to heal it with this person and move on. Whereas before, you may not have been dealing with it directly or trying to forget about it, etc. And I feel like you're trying to decide in the beginning part of August, maybe around the second week or so, which path you want to take. Do I want to put in the work and the effort to go through the consequences of what happened and be committed enough and move forward into the future, whatever that might take? Or should I just tie a balloon string to this and wave goodbye to it and then just, move on from it? Because next we have the Two of Wands clarified by the Ten of Swords. So the Two of Wands is fire energy. That's the element which governs the suit. Very action-oriented energy, although the Two of Wands represents being at a crossroads. Twos often do. Crossroads, choices, duality. Two. At a crossroads, do I choose one path or do I choose another path? The helpful thing to realize with the Two of Wands, when you're stuck at kind of a crossroads and you're like, do I take this path or do I take that path? And this is advice which applies in any area of your life. Don't make the decision based so much on what's right around you. This is about the Two of Wands is about choosing a path, a course of action based on long-term thinking. If this is about, just for example, let's say this is a romantic relationship, or a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife kind of relationship, or best friend, or some close kind of relationship. And there was this hurt, this betrayal, and you're kind of, do I walk down this path of continuing with this person, or do we continue to walk this path together? Because there's trust that needs to be rebuilt, which takes time, and effort that needs to be put into it. Or do we just separate and go our different ways? The key is to look down the road. What do you want ultimately? How do you really feel about this person? How do they feel about you? What do you want? What's your big long-term goal? And that makes it easier to choose a path to go down. Because it's almost impossible to pack for a journey that has no particular destination in mind, particularly as we get older. So it's about looking down the road at your long-term goals, what's your big picture vision, and then choosing the path that takes you step by step towards that big picture goal. So If, for example, this is a very connective relationship that's, had some damage done from hurt, betrayal, deception, whatever, intentional or otherwise on your part or on the other person's part, do you continue? What is it going to cost? Do we want to? What do we have invested in this relationship or this situation? Is it enough that we both can commit to walking down this path together regardless of what it is? Or is it just too much water under the bridge? Or have we not, is it a too new of a relationship and we to deal with this? It's not strong enough to deal with this, so we're just going to kind of separate. So it's about taking a look at, kind of what have you put into this situation or relationship? What do you want long term, and is it worth walking this road or the other road, and making your decision based on more of a long term view than on the emotions and what you may be experiencing in the moment, because emotions are very mercurial. They can go up and down, and it's never wise to make a significant decision based purely on emotion. You want to kind of take a step back and take the longer view of this. What clarifies the Two of Wands is this Ten of Swords, this there was some kind of being stabbed in the back or a sense of betrayal. Tens represent completion, though. That's the positive aspect to cards like this with the Ten of Swords. In the tarot, tens represent culmination, achievement, something, a cycle coming to an end, or a culmination point where it transitions into something different. You can see that there's a golden light shining down through these swords, a healing light. The sun is rising in the background, a new day is dawning, and the animals are beginning to return to the scene. Whatever happened to put this person face down in the ground, it's over. The worst is behind you. It's not going to happen again. So there is a sense of completion, but what do I do with it? So it's about kind of taking a long-term view in terms of which road you want to take with this situation, this relationship, this situation. I feel like a lot of you are going to, at least for the time being, the decision you're going to make is to put your efforts into healing and reconciliation, particularly those of you for whom this is a personal relationship, but even if it's not, that you're going to, I feel like a lot of you have decided that there's enough invested in this to invest more in making it whole and right and balanced again. Because next we have the Empress and the Four of Wands. The Empress is a major arcana card. She's kind of the traditional earth mother of the tarot. She's all about fertility. Now, this could be, literal fertility for some of you. Those of you who are, maybe wanting to start a family or add to your family. Forewarned is forearmed if you don't want that sort of thing. But what does fertility really mean? This card is about nurturing and fertility, meaning that the time is right. Fertility means that the time is right, the season is right to conceive something, to plant a seed and begin to manifest and grow it. It's a card about new beginnings. Fertility means that the time is right to start something new. It's not, you don't see results right away, but this card says it's time to actually plant the seeds. So we usually put the seeds in the ground, we cover them up with dirt, and it looks like nothing is happening, but underneath the surface things are germinating furiously. But the Empress, usually when the Empress shows up, it's a green light for beginning new things, new projects, new relationships, new starts, new beginnings, a fresh new start. It's a good time to begin again, to begin anew, to plant some new seeds, to manifest something different. What clarifies it is the Four of Wands, which is a celebratory card. It can represent an actual celebratory event like marriage, wedding, anniversary, graduation, etc. But primarily it's a card about reconnecting with counting your blessings in regards to the people around you, friends and family that love you, that support you, that you connect with you. The simple to remember and reconnect with the simple joy and gratitude of just being around people that you really feel good with, that you really connect with. And for those of you in a personal relationship, this can, in terms of healing, whatever was broken, the sense of betrayal in this relationship, in this situation, could even be within your own family dynamics. Part of what you're going to find helpful in starting over again, in renewing things, is to look at this other person or group of people or situation and remind yourself what brought you together in the first place. What do you really connect with and enjoy about each other? And kind of remember that, because that can be a very helpful tool when we're trying to move forward from hurt and betrayal and anger and all of that, because when we focus on those things, we forget the positive things as well. So it's about reconnecting to what you really enjoy about the other person or people in the first place. And it looks like now's the time to do that. You can't start over again in an already established relationship, but you can renew. You can start on a new path and remember what it is that you really love and enjoy about each other, and and to remember to feel grateful again about that, both of you together or this group of people together. The Four of Wands is also the happy surprise card too. Meaning that it represents an unexpected blessing is coming, and rather quickly too, because the Four of Wands, in terms of the happy surprise energy, is not a card of an indeterminate future. When that shows up, it usually represents that a happy surprise, an unexpected blessing is coming your way soon, within the next couple of weeks. So you guys will have to keep me posted on what that is. Fertility, starting over again. I think an opportunity, it looks like something's going to happen, whether it's a conversation. I feel like some of you are going to be taking a trip with your partner or person or whoever. Something's occurring that kind of sparks some renewal between the two of you again, or within this situation again, and makes it kind of hopeful for you in terms of moving forward on this path. And we wrap up the month beautifully with the Six of Wands and the Lovers. The Lovers is usually a card that represents making a significant choice. And it's a choice that could make a difference in a significant relationship. In the early tarot decks, this wasn't called the Lovers, it was called the Choice. And it showed a man standing in front of two women, or a woman standing in front of two men. And the implication being that this was about a very connective, passionate, soulmate, kind of karmically connected relationship, and a decision needed to be made. Not necessarily that this means that there's a choice that you're choosing between two people, or somebody's choosing between you and somebody else. It might be for some of you, but it represents a choice that may significantly impact this karmic, passionate, connective relationship that you have, or a choice needs to be made. Now, that what's crowning at what that card is clarifying is the Six of Wands, which is a card of victory, significant victory and triumph after a struggle, after a challenge. This man went off to do something, a mission, a quest, slay a dragon, rescue a princess, heal a relationship, get a new job, whatever it might be for you. And he went off and struggled and worked at it, and he was successful. He's riding back into town triumphantly, being recognized for it. So I think a lot of you, whatever this relationship or situation is, Aries, or has been, I feel like you guys, while you may have had some challenges here and there in the relationship or situation, because it for some of you, this isn't going to represent a romantic relationship, it's a different kind of situation. But I feel like whatever happened in the last few months or the last year, even though there may have been, little issues or, arguments or challenges before that, this was a biggie. And you've been standing at a crossroads, or will be, at the end of July, the first part of August, of, wow, so this is what it's like when something really gets broken, or when trust really gets broken in a big way in a relationship. These are the actual consequences of it. Even though the original thing happened a while back, it's seeing how things have played out and how the relationship energy's changed since then. So all of a sudden you're beginning to have a deeper understanding and awareness of what really happens when trust is broken within a relationship or a situation. Even when you commit to moving forward, and it totally is. And if you're totally committed to doing this, you'll have the kind of relationship, and people that get through some very difficult issues and end up being stronger for it. But it's a path which takes dedication and effort. And I think that you're coming to an understanding and awareness of that, of what the consequences of actions were, and also what it's going to take to move forward. And that's an evolvement. That's a maturity thing. You're evolving and maturing in a different way, particularly in how you're relating to other people, and learning a very valuable, maybe somewhat painful, but very valuable lesson from this. And I feel like a lot of you, not all of you, but a lot of you are going to make the decision that with this knowledge and information and this new kind of perspective, and looking at this new wisdom, you're going to move forward and do and commit to and commit to doing what you have to do to heal this situation, which the Hierophant is a deeper level of commitment and responsibility. And while you may not actually verbalize this within the relationship, to commit to this is, this is a different step in the relationship or in the situation. What do you do when you're hit with something bad? When we're young, we tend to run away from things, or when things get too tough, we leave. But as we get older, and in the time we have invested in things are more significant to us, we often try to go, okay, I'm not going to just separate myself from this mess. I'm going to let's go deeper into this. Let's see what we can actually do with this. And this does not refer to really truly toxic abusive relationships or exploitive situations. I mean, in those situations you have to get out and do what you have to do. This is for everybody else, and I think a lot of you realize this, and you're on a new path by the end of the month, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I think that whatever work you're putting into this is really going to pay off. And in the personal relationships or situations, you're going to find that as you move forward, even though, again, there is still consequences that need to be lived through until they kind of resolve themselves and get further and further away from whatever this betrayal was, that this new wisdom that you have is really going to serve you well moving forward in the future. So Aries, a beautiful reading, a pretty deep, impactful month, I think, for a lot of you, but a month of evolutionary growth, of insight and wisdom gained, which ultimately is why we're here. And it's going to serve you well on a path of joy and fulfillment as you move forward. So Aries, that pretty much wraps up your August 2018 general reading. Thank you again for watching and listening and joining us here today. Again, if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, live or recorded, you can get all the information and details, at least for contacting me, by clicking on the description bar of all the videos I post, or going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on that little About button. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the August 2018 mid-month readings. And until then, as always, Aries, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.